Hello, YouTube. This is Pen Supremacist. I am an active contributor of NeoLegacy, and I'm making this video today to discuss something I have written for the Neo devs, that being something that they have seen before, and something that I would love to bring to light for the community to look at as well. This, of course, is the NeoLegacy enchanting system rework. A bit ago, I ran a poll to the NeoLegacy community saying, would you guys like to see a reworked enchantment system for the game? And quite the majority of people had reacted to that very positively, saying that that is something that they would want to see. Now, full disclaimer before I continue further. I know the goal of the project, I understand the goal of the project, and these changes are being listed with the hope that they will be an optional setting or toggle in the world creation menu, similar to how bonus chests and starting map function. Even if these changes are, in my opinion, positive in more ways than none for the game's future, people should deserve to approach change on their own. These changes are being pitched due to the problems of enchanting being very tedious and draining to the player, and it is a problem seen in modern Minecraft today, as it is regarded as one of, if not one of the worst systems um, the game has to offer. Granted, these are my ideas, and I believe proper discussion is something that is needed. Now, once again, I want to say I understand the goal of this project is to be as faithful as possible to the legacy console edition that the game, or sorry, that New Legacy is based off of. But options like these, especially geared towards issues still in the game as of currently, is something that I believe 4J would have liked to do as well. They were no stranger to making changes for people's enjoyment, like reworking certain mobs to drop certain items or having something work differently. And that's for a multitude of reasons, for player enjoyment or for the limited world size issue or purely just something unique to the edition itself. We should prioritize putting player enjoyment first like they had. But that is just me. So, without further ado, these are my pitched ideas. So, first, right off the bat, raising the too expensive cap. Now, we have all been there, um, putting items into the anvil and just getting, oh, it's too expensive. Like fucking. I remember grinding a ton of tools and stuff because I do in fact play the game myself. Which is not something a lot of the devs on Neo Legacy really have the time for. Mhm. And I would say the cap for a lot of the combinations, especially if the tools are enchanted, are way too, or are registered as way too expensive by the game itself. And I think currently the game has it at 40 levels, which I think on Java it might be like 50 or maybe even 60. My proposed idea is to raise the cap to about 60. Um, like 60 levels, not 60 XP. Um, and that is just simply for the fact that it is much easier to get levels in Legacy Console Edition, just in general. I constantly get upwards of maybe 50 or sorry, at times even just like 60 or 70 levels, just by playing the game itself. And I know that sounds like a lot, but it is something that happens very, very often. And along with raising the level cap, which is, in my opinion, off to a very good start, lowering the amount of cost of combining stuff like books as well as tools and like armor pieces by about 50%. Now, from what I've seen from playing the game and having others play the game as well, I feel like this just makes enchanting a lot more accessible. I know it is a very convoluted system that a lot of people just, really don't want to get into the hassle of doing, simply because it's a massive resource sink of levels and of very high valuable materials like diamonds, for example. And there isn't really a reason to enchant other pieces of gear like iron. I've witnessed other players just going straight to iron and then to diamond without really enchanting their gear at all, just because of the fact that they usually die a lot more often or are prone to using their levels on something else, like renaming stuff or making sure their tools don't break. Speaking of which, we're getting on to one of the ideas for balance that has been added into NeoLegacy as of now, as of the current update, which I think that's title update 43. So, one of them being the enchantment mending, being able to be found not just in its regular places, loot chests and fishing, it is also able to be found in the enchantment table, as even though fishing is a completely sustainable and renewable way to get mending books, it's just a very tedious process. And I figured, you know what, players should have access to getting mending in the enchantment table. And you might be thinking, that is a little overpowered, and that wouldn't really be good for balance in any way when mending is such a good enchantment. I've already explained how getting high amounts of levels in Neo Legacy is very, very easy. You kill a couple mobs, with a sword, and boom, 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 you're already at like level 30 or something. Um, and you would be right. Um, if it weren't for the other changes, which I know are very extreme, but as of now, it is what I have come up with as a clever solution to the mending debacle. Players with mending equipment will no longer receive repaired tools and armor from XP. How mending will work now in these changes is tools and armor from mending will now be made with lapis. Or sorry. Tools and armor with mending will now be mended with lapis and an anvil. I have the document open up, and I'm a little tired, stumbling over my words. What this means is that you will no longer rely on the constant influx of levels coming your way to repair your items. Instead, using lapis at an anvil will be your main source of repairing your tools. And this is very good, in my opinion, as lapis is a very easy resource to come by in caves. Most of the time, I have heard some complaints about players maybe not really finding lapis as much, which could be an issue. But for those players, it'd probably be suited to just use other materials to repair your tools, like iron or diamonds. So maybe mending isn't always the best thing to have if you're low on lapis, or um, if you've already got a large supply of resources to repair your tools. And that would mean all of the levels that you had gotten from slaying mobs that you now have an influx of can be used to enchant more and more gear much easier with the lowered cost of combining and enchanting gear, um, which means it would not only make enchanting a lot easier, but I think a lot more fun, which is something that enchanting in the game right now desperately needs. But one last thing I would like to mention that is already on here that I would like to point out The cost of combining books to upgraded enchantments, example, combining two unbreaking books, unbreaking two books to unbreaking three. As you can see here, the cost of those would be heavily reduced. I'd say it'd be around 66 or 75% at the most extreme being made free, which I do not think is something that should be done. It's just there as a maybe we should do it, maybe we shouldn't do it. Remember, all of these ideas that I have are simply ideas that I think should work from my own testing of playing in the game by myself, while also getting feedback from my friends who also play it, and from people's opinions that I have heard in both the NeoLegacy Discord server and just from talking to people in the NeoLegacy chats. I really am passionate about this game, and I feel as if at least some of these changes, like the mending one, which has already been added, would really benefit the players immensely. Now, that is all from me. Let me know what you guys would like to suggest for this enchant rework. My mind is always open to others' perspectives for the game, as, like I said, it's something I'm very passionate about and something that I feel will live on for quite a while if we continue to um, really care about player feedback like this. Anyways, that's all from me. Thank you so much for watching. Um, Make sure to give it a like if you enjoyed it. And like I said, I would love to hear your opinions. Peace out.